Hi, so today I am going to discuss with you guys the development of the Neolithic Revolution to the transition of what is called civilizations. And so, using your virtual notebook that you just created in the greeting, you should be able to define Neolithic Revolution. You should be able to identify at least four effects of the Neolithic Revolution. And so those are domestication of plant and animals, food surplus, population boom, job specialization, and also the development of what we call patriarchy, or the domination of societies typically by men. So after reviewing these slides in this slideshow or watching this video, you should be able to complete the reflection questions and the activities in your virtual notebook on early river valley civilizations and the 5 characteristics of a civilization. So to begin with, a river valley is a geographic area that is in a low-lying area near a river that usually has fertile land that is suitable for farming. And so throughout the world, these river valleys, they typically are fertile because of possibly regular flooding. So here in this image, you guys can see the regular flooding of the Nile River in Egypt. Or it could be because the end of the river is at a delta. And so the river carries all of the silt and the water and everything to the end of the river and deposits this fertile soil and then makes the land suitable for growing. So in history, there are 4 major river valley civilizations that have been identified. And now I really want to be clear that there are civilizations that developed in Japan, and there's civilizations in South America, in North America that also developed that aren't necessarily connected to river valley civilizations. So as history progresses, those civilizations are also being included in the development of these first civilizations. And so today I'm asking you, so what do you think the people living in the highlighted areas have in common? So if you look here in Egypt, you have the Nile River. In the Middle East region, so this is present-day Iraq and Syria, you have the Tigris and the Euphrates River. In present-day Pakistan and northern India, you have the Indus River. And then over in present-day China, you have the Huanghe or the Yellow River. And so something that these areas have in common is they're all next to a dependable water source. And so this allows for the discovery or the innovation of farming. So how do these areas relate to the Neolithic Revolution? The effects of these are, again, domestication of plants and animals, food surplus, job specialization, complex institutions. So complex institutions, that basically means the need of a government or a religion to keep people organized, and advanced technology. So the 4 river valley civilizations, again, are going to be located in Mesopotamia. This area, this is typically known as the Fertile Crescent. Mesopotamia literally means the land between 2 rivers. And so a lot of historians credit this with being the birth of civilization. The Nile River in Egypt allows for a very rich and complex civilization to grow, and the specific geography of places accounts for a lot of diversity within these civilizations. The 3rd river valley civilization is the Indus River Valley civilization, and this is the one that is perhaps the least well known, but as historians study more and more, we are learning how complex and how developed this area of the world really was. And then finally, you have the Huanghe River or the Yellow River Valley civilization in China that is quite distinct because of the available natural resources that it had there. And so, although these civilizations shared general characteristics, they developed very distinctive technology, writing systems, institutions, so that's religion and government, cities and social systems that are connected to their geographic region. And so these 5 things, technology, writing systems, institutions, cities, and social systems, those are going to be our 5 characteristics of a civilization. So in your notes, you should find a page that has this map on it. So at this time, if you would like to pause this video, go ahead and feel free to. You should be able to identify and locate where each of the 4 river valley civilizations are. You should be able to name each civilization and name its rivers. So I'll wait a second and then I'll go ahead and I'll share with you where these are. So here over furthest west, this is the Nile River Valley Civilization in Egypt. Then here you have Mesopotamia, which is the Tigris and Euphrates River. Here in present-day India, you have the Indus River Valley Civilization. And then finally here in present-day China, you have the Huanghe River Valley Civilization, or the Yellow River Valley Civilization. So civilization, what does that word really mean? And so I'm asking you to stop, think about, what does it mean to be civilized? And so if I heard this term before I really started studying history, I would think maybe, what does it mean to be civilized? It means you probably keep clean. It means you probably don't burp or put your elbows on the dinner table. You might have good manners, like say please and thank you. You might be kind to people. You might respect the rules and social norms of your society. But historians, they have a specific criteria for this word civilization. And so their criteria of civilization is this. Basically, they're going to say in order for something to be called a civilization, it must have an organized government, laws, religion, leaders. They must have, this might also be part of a government. They must have an idea of morals, knowing what's right and wrong. They have some kind of economic system. They live in a city. There's buildings and there's shelters. There's some kind of communication with writing or other kind of social means. And so historians say, yes, civilizations, they must have cities or large centers for trade or trade for large areas. Civilizations must have technologies that make their lives easier. So technology does not just have to be a computer or a cell phone. It can be something like a knife. It can be a wheel. It can be using bronze to make tools, but it's something that they use as a tool to make their life easier. 3, civilizations must have writing in order to keep records of taxes, laws, and trade. And I think this is one of the most fascinating parts of ancient civilizations is the differences and how efficiently they were able to keep records and keep information. Right now, we keep so much information. We have all these tools like Google Drive and spreadsheets and all of this analytical data when really human beings have been doing this for centuries. Civilizations must have specialized workers. And so specialized workers mean that each person does a specific job. And so this would create what is called a class system. And so in some systems, you might have scholars as high class and teachers as high class. You might have business people as a lower class. And then in some systems, it might be reversed. But nonetheless, this creates what is called a class system. Civilizations also must have complex institutions. So this could be anything like a government or anything like a religion that basically keeps people in line and gets people to follow certain rules in order to guarantee the continuation of their civilization. So now that we're at the end of our overview of the characteristics of a civilization and the early river valley civilization, I want you to think and reflect on this question. So, which characteristic of civilizations do you think is the most important, and why? Is it cities, centers of trade for large areas? Is it technologies that make our lives easier? Is it writing in order to keep records of taxes, laws, or trade? Is it specialized workers in a class system? Or is it the existence and development of complex institutions like government and religion that keep our lives in order?